Some wounds are too subtle for words. When pain rises, not all respond with anger, tears, or confrontation. Some retreat into silence, carrying hurt inward, shaping thought and emotion in quiet spaces. Going quiet is not absence, it is processing, reflection, and self-preservation. The mind and heart work in tandem, navigating vulnerability, fear, and the need to protect the self. To observe these individuals is to witness an internal landscape as complex as it is invisible, the subtle currents of grief, disappointment, and unspoken longing. This story is about silence as expression, retreat as defense, and the psychological architecture that allows the wounded to endure without outward display. It is a journey into the human capacity to internalize, reflect, and carry emotion quietly, yet profoundly. Silence is not emptiness. For those who withdraw when hurt, it is a refuge, a place where words are unnecessary, even dangerous. It is a quiet that shields the heart, a pause between the world's noise and the rawness of emotion. When pain arises, speaking can feel risky, misunderstood, dismissed, or magnified. So, they retreat inward, letting the storm of feeling pass behind closed doors. This withdrawal is deliberate, though often invisible. The world may interpret quiet as indifference, coldness, or avoidance. But inside, every thought is alive with reflection, every memory refracted through emotion, every hurt cataloged with care. The mind becomes a chamber for processing, and the heart a vigilant guardian. Silence allows containment. The intensity of hurt is measured, sorted, and sometimes softened. Emotion is observed rather than acted upon. Pain is named internally before it is expressed externally. This internal dialogue is protective, teaching patience, restraint, and self-awareness. For some, silence is learned early. In households where emotion was punished, dismissed, or overwhelming, withdrawing became a survival strategy. A quiet presence shielded them from criticism, preserved dignity, and maintained control when circumstances felt volatile. Silence was safety, and in time it became instinctive. Silence also communicates, subtly and powerfully. A pause, a stillness, a refusal to respond can signal hurt more eloquently than words. Those attuned can perceive tension, disappointment, or grief through posture, gaze, and rhythm. For those who understand, the quiet speaks volumes. For those who do not, it remains opaque, yet this shelter is not without tension. While it protects, it also isolates. The individual risks being misunderstood, overlooked, or dismissed. Emotions stored internally gain depth, but they may also accumulate weight, creating quiet burdens invisible to others. Despite the potential cost, silence is a form of mastery. It allows reflection, emotional processing, and containment of reactions that might later be regretted. It provides a private arena where vulnerability can exist safely, unpressured by expectation or judgment. Here, the heart can feel without exposure. The mind can sort without interruption. Over time, this pattern shapes perception. The world is approached cautiously, words measured, and trust carefully calibrated. Silence becomes a lens through which interactions are filtered. Listening is prioritized over speaking, observation over reaction, patience over impulse. It is a rhythm born of self-preservation, subtle and enduring. To understand those who retreat in hurt is to recognize the courage in quiet. They navigate the internal terrain of emotion with care. Even when external engagement is minimal, their stillness is both shield and sanctuary, a space where the fragile, tender aspects of self are protected and allowed to endure. Silence is not absence, it is presence turned inward. It is a careful, watchful, deeply human way of surviving, understanding, and carrying pain. And in this stillness, the seeds of insight, resilience, and subtle emotional intelligence begin to take root. The habit of silence often begins long before the pain is consciously understood. Children watch, listen, and absorb the emotional rhythms of their environment. In some homes, emotion is punished, dismissed, or ignored. A cry may be met with irritation, a question with impatience, a display of vulnerability with shame. In these spaces, the child learns that speaking hurts more than it helps. Early attachment experiences leave subtle imprints. When caregivers are unpredictable, absent, or emotionally unavailable, the child discovers that seeking comfort is risky. Expressing hurt may not result in solace but in frustration, rejection, or neglect. Retreat becomes instinctive, the body still, the voice muted, the heart protected. Conflict is formative. Witnessing parental arguments, sibling tension, or relational discord teaches lessons about safety and survival. Some children notice that speaking up escalates discord, while silence diffuses it. The quiet child becomes an observer, learning to navigate relationships through vigilance rather than verbal assertion. Cultural and social norms also shape quiet tendencies. Certain environments prize composure, stoicism, or politeness over emotional openness. The child internalizes the message that pain is private, vulnerability a liability, and emotional restraint a virtue. Silence becomes both armor and social currency, a way to maintain dignity while avoiding harm. Trauma or neglect intensifies the pattern. Experiences of bullying, criticism, or abandonment reinforce the instinct to withdraw. Even minor hurts trigger internal retreat, a rehearsal of containment developed in response to prior wounds. The mind learns to monitor emotion carefully, regulate response, and preserve selfhood without external validation. Personality and temperament also play a role. Highly sensitive children, introverts, or reflective minds are more likely to internalize distress. Their natural inclination to observe and process aligns with learned patterns of silence, creating a layered psychological habit, innate disposition reinforced by environment. Over time, these origins shape relational perception. The quiet child perceives risk in expression and safety in stillness. Words are measured, gestures controlled, and emotions modulated. The internal landscape becomes a sanctuary, a private place to process hurt without fear of exposure or escalation. Yet these roots are not weaknesses, they are adaptive strategies. Silence develops in response to circumstances, a thoughtful calibration of behavior to protect the self. It fosters reflection, self-soothing, and careful attention to relational cues, cultivating skills that are subtle but profound. Understanding the origins of quiet is essential to seeing the individual fully. Their silence is not apathy, ignorance, or avoidance. It is a learned architecture of resilience, self-protection, and deep attentiveness. The child who first discovered safety in stillness grows into an adult whose silence carries both wisdom and care, a quiet strength born of necessity and nurtured by experience. When words fail, the mind becomes the language. For those who withdraw and hurt, silence is a canvas for reflection, rumination, and emotional organization. Every sensation, memory, and reaction is observed with careful attention, cataloged and measured before it is ever expressed. Inwardness is not absence, it is engagement, a dialogue with the self that precedes, and sometimes replaces, outward communication. The quiet mind is often meticulous. Pain is parsed into fragments: the trigger, the emotional response, and the imagined consequences of expression. They weigh potential outcomes, rehearse responses, and imagine relational impact. This internal deliberation serves as both containment and protection, preventing impulsive reactions that might deepen harm. Self-soothing becomes instinctive. Deep breaths, mental reframing, or subtle routines help regulate rising emotion. Even simple acts, pausing, journaling, or repetitive motion, serve to anchor the self in the midst of turbulence. Silence allows them to maintain equilibrium while the heart navigates the pull of vulnerability and defense. Rumination is double-edged. It allows insight, understanding, and problem-solving, but it can also magnify hurt. The quiet mind cycles through what-ifs and why-me's, replaying conversations, events, or imagined scenarios. Yet this repetition is not idle. It is the labor of emotional mastery, a slow calibration of feeling and thought. Memory and imagination intertwine. Past experiences, loss, disappointment, or relational misalignment inform present perception. They anticipate hurt and rehearse responses, sometimes before an event occurs. The quiet individual becomes both historian and strategist of their own inner world. Reflection sharpens self-understanding. They learn what triggers sensitivity, what restores balance, and which relationships require care or distance. The mind constructs emotional maps, plotting safe paths, warning signs, and boundaries. Silence is the medium through which these maps are drawn, maintained, and consulted. Emotion and cognition work in tandem. The hurt is felt fully, but it is observed with nuance. The mind interprets, the heart gauges, and the body regulates. This integration is subtle, rarely visible to others, yet profoundly effective in preserving psychological integrity. Yet processing in silence is not isolation from growth. Internal reflection fosters empathy, patience, and insight. They begin to anticipate the emotions of others, understand relational dynamics, and moderate responses without external cue. Silence becomes both shield and teacher, guiding them toward awareness while maintaining safety. Ultimately, emotional processing within is a delicate art. It transforms vulnerability into insight, hurt into understanding, and internal chaos into structured awareness. The quiet mind carries emotion not as a burden to others, but as a space of mastery, reflection, and endurance. Silence, while protective, carries unseen consequences. Those who withdraw when hurt often find themselves misunderstood. Others may interpret quiet as indifference, coldness, or disengagement. The depth of feeling remains invisible, hidden beneath stillness, leaving observers unaware of the storm beneath the surface. Relationships are subtly shaped by this dynamic. Friends may assume resilience, partners may perceive detachment, colleagues may see aloofness. The individual's protective silence inadvertently creates distance. They shield themselves from further harm, yet in doing so, they risk being overlooked, dismissed, or emotionally underestimated. The tension between protection and connection is constant. Every unspoken word is a choice of safety or relational presence. Speaking may open vulnerability, risk judgment, or trigger conflict. Remaining quiet preserves control but can cultivate isolation. The heart learns that engagement is both desired and dangerous, creating a delicate balance in every interaction. Misunderstanding is common. Loved ones often feel frustrated, questioning the absence of expression or clarity. The quiet person may notice these reactions yet remain guarded, knowing that speaking too soon or too freely could amplify pain. Their silence becomes a relational paradox, both protective and alienating. Social cues are scrutinized intensely. Subtle glances, shifts in tone, or body language are observed, interpreted, and weighed. They communicate emotion non-verbally, yet such signals can be subtle enough to be missed entirely. This careful monitoring underscores the effort invested in maintaining both safety and connection without words. Over time, patterns of withdrawal shape relational expectation. Others may adjust, speaking more, pressing less, or disengaging entirely. The quiet individual becomes both the observer and the observed, navigating relationships with heightened awareness but often without reciprocal insight from those around them. Silence can become both refuge and barrier, creating distance even in close bonds. Yet, the risk of being overlooked also fosters self-reliance. They learn to meet emotional needs internally, to validate their own feelings, and to derive stability from reflection rather than external reassurance. Independence grows alongside invisibility, a subtle strength forged through repeated internal negotiation. Understanding this risk reframes the quiet response. It is not absence of feeling, but strategic management of vulnerability. They protect themselves while still engaging with the world, navigating a relational landscape that may be unaware of the depth of their inner life. The silent heart carries both pain and wisdom, enduring and observing in equal measure. The risk of being overlooked is the cost of protection, yet it also shapes depth, introspection, and relational acuity. Those who go quiet when hurt develop a rich internal world, capable of empathy, reflection, and nuanced understanding that often exceeds what words alone can convey. Their silence speaks, even when it is unseen, and carries lessons about the complexity of human emotion, connection, and resilience. The habit of silence leaves its mark on the adult self. Those who learn to withdraw and hurt carry patterns of internalization into relationships, work, and personal reflection. Words may be measured, emotions carefully modulated, and vulnerability selectively expressed. The mind anticipates consequences before speech is considered, and the heart gauges relational risk in every interaction. Trust is calibrated cautiously. Because early expression of hurt was met with misunderstanding, indifference, or criticism, the adult tends to protect emotional exposure. Opening up requires assessment: who is safe? Who can be trusted? When is it worth the risk? This careful evaluation shapes friendships, romantic bonds, and professional engagement alike. Emotional regulation becomes highly developed. They have learned to process disappointment, frustration, or grief internally, relying on reflection and self-soothing rather than immediate external support. This ability fosters resilience and composure, but it can also create distance, making it difficult for others to access their inner world. Relationship patterns reflect both skill and challenge. Partners, friends, or colleagues may sense depth, patience, and understanding, yet also encounter guardedness, perceived aloofness, or hesitancy to share openly. Attachment can be cautious, measured, and subtly self-protective. The quiet response to hurt, once adaptive, can manifest as emotional restraint that requires negotiation in adult intimacy. Internal insight is refined. Those who go quiet often develop keen observation, empathy, and anticipation of others' needs or reactions. They notice nuance, interpret subtleties, and respond with care when conditions feel safe. Their inner life becomes a well-practiced architecture, reflection, analysis, and regulation integrated into daily existence. Patterns of coping also reveal duality. Silence provides mastery, insight, and resilience, yet it can perpetuate isolation or miscommunication. The adult who withdraws when hurt must navigate the tension between self-protection and relational connection, balancing the safety of silence with the desire for understanding. Work, creativity, and personal expression often benefit from this internalized processing. They may excel in reflective pursuits, analytical work, or careful planning, leveraging the quiet mind to generate clarity and depth. Internal processing becomes a source of perspective that informs judgment, decision-making, and relational nuance. Yet challenges remain. Suppressed emotion can accumulate subtly, manifesting as fatigue, irritability, or difficulty asserting needs. Relationships may require extra patience, encouragement, and understanding from both parties to bridge the gap between inner experience and outward communication. The long-term patterns of those who go quiet when hurt are neither weakness nor deficit. They are strategies honed over years, adaptive and sophisticated, blending observation, reflection, and careful self-preservation. These individuals embody resilience, subtle insight, and the capacity to navigate complex emotional landscapes with intelligence and care. In adulthood, the echoes of early silence shape both the inner world and the outer life. The mind is vigilant, the heart protective, and the spirit enduring. Their pattern is a delicate balance: quiet endurance, careful reflection, and the capacity to connect deeply when conditions allow trust, safety, and understanding. Even the most guarded hearts seek connection. Silence is protective, but it is not permanent. Given safety, trust, and patience, the quiet can become articulate, not with volume, but with clarity, intention, and depth. Expression emerges when vulnerability meets a space that does not threaten, judge, or dismiss. Trust is the first threshold. The individual must perceive a relational environment where hurt can be voiced without risk of escalation or ridicule. A partner's patience, a friend's gentle attention, or a counselor's attuned presence creates the conditions for words to emerge. Expression is often incremental, small disclosures, tentative explanations, pauses that invite dialogue rather than confrontation. Gradual openness fosters insight. As they articulate feeling, thought, or disappointment, internal processing becomes externalized and the burden of solitude eases. Speech is measured, intentional, and reflective, carrying the depth cultivated in years of internal navigation. Each shared truth strengthens connection and reinforces the possibility that being seen will not harm. Emotional literacy grows alongside relational safety. They learn that emotion can be communicated without losing control, that hurt can be named without triggering conflict, and that vulnerability can coexist with self-protection. The quiet mind, once a chamber for reflection, becomes a bridge to others, translating internal understanding into relational resonance. Safe expression also reshapes relationships. Loved ones who previously perceived distance begin to see depth, nuance, and care. Misunderstandings diminish as silence gives way to words, and trust becomes reciprocal rather than unilateral. Connection deepens, not through dramatics, but through mindful dialogue, attentive listening, and authentic disclosure. The pathway is not linear. Old habits resurface. Withdrawal may reoccur when hurt is acute or trust feels tentative. Yet each attempt at expression reinforces the capacity for communication, building resilience alongside openness. The quiet heart learns the rhythm of engagement, when to reflect, when to speak, and when to listen. Even subtle expression carries power. A written note, a measured conversation, or a gentle disclosure conveys emotion with precision and honesty. These gestures, small yet significant, gradually weave the inner life into the relational fabric, creating connection without overwhelming the self. Ultimately, pathways to expression honor both silence and voice. They preserve the integrity of the internal world while allowing it to be seen, heard, and understood. The quiet are not transformed overnight, they evolve, guided by trust, care, and the courage to share what was once only internal. Through these pathways, hurt becomes communicable, reflection becomes dialogue, and internal strength merges with relational depth. The quiet mind and heart, long accustomed to self-containment, discover that expression is not weakness, it is a continuation of resilience, a bridge from solitude to connection. There is a quiet strength in those who retreat when wounded. It is not loud, ostentatious, or easily measured. It is subtle, enduring, and deeply human, a resilience forged in the invisible moments of self-preservation and reflection. The strength lies in presence within absence. Though words may be withheld, the heart remains alive, attentive, and perceptive. They observe the world with care, measure responses with thought, and navigate relationships with both caution and insight. Silence is their medium, reflection their tool, and endurance their constant companion. Empathy grows in the stillness. By observing without immediately reacting, they understand nuance, sense unspoken emotion, and anticipate the feelings of others. The quiet mind owns relational awareness, cultivating patience, discernment, and the ability to respond with intention rather than impulse. What is unseen is deeply known. Resilience is honed through restraint. Each moment of withheld reaction strengthens capacity for emotional regulation, perspective, and endurance. They carry hurt not as a burden to others, but as a quietly managed reality, integrating experience with care and reflection. The silent heart learns the weight of emotion, and the architecture of self-preservation becomes a source of quiet mastery. This strength is relational and internal. It allows connection on deeper terms, yet maintains the boundaries that protect the self. They offer thoughtfulness, listening, and subtle support, even when speech is limited. In relationships, the impact of quiet presence is profound, teaching patience and attunement to those who are willing to perceive it. Even solitude carries wisdom. Moments alone are not emptiness, they are space for processing, insight, and self-renewal. The quiet cultivate understanding of self and others, integrating hurt into a broader vision of life, emotion, and human complexity. Their reflection becomes a bridge, linking inner depth to external engagement when the timing feels safe and authentic. The strength in quiet is paradoxical. It is soft yet firm, hidden yet luminous, protective yet profoundly relational. It is a testament to endurance, insight, and the subtle courage required to inhabit one's own emotional world fully. They endure without display, understand without interruption, and survive with grace. Ultimately, those who go quiet when hurt teach a lesson in presence, patience, and resilience. The world may overlook their depth, misread their silence, or underestimate their emotional intelligence. Yet their inner life is rich, their empathy acute, and their strength enduring. Silence becomes a sanctuary, reflection a guide, and resilience a quiet beacon. They remind us that strength does not always shout, it often whispers, carries unseen weight, and illuminates quietly from within. In their stillness, we see a profound human truth: endurance, understanding, and love can thrive even in the absence of words.